Although the proud and wealthy city of Volantis is proclaimed as one of the 9 free cities, there are 5 slaves for every free man there. It is tradition in Volantis that slaves must be marked according to status: a horse head on the cheek of stable workers, a single tear beneath the right eye of sex workers, squares of motley from neck to scalp for fools and jesters. It was Ares Targaryen that sent Stefan Baratheon on the voyage to the free city of Old Volantis. To Volantis to find a maiden of old Valyrian blood to be queen to Rhaegar Targaryen. Stefan found no such girl. Instead, he sent back word to Storm's End that he had found a fool. It was not until Stefan's ship, the Windproud, was inside of Storm's End that it was caught in a freak storm. Stefan's ship sank into the Shipbreaker Bay, whilst his children watched helplessly from the castle. There was only one survival, the fool called Patchface. But strange were the circumstances surrounding his survival. Patchface's body washed up 3 days after the storm had done its damage. Jami, who was a man in service of House Baratheon, found him on the shores of Storm's End. What happened next haunted Jami until the end of his days. The boy was dead, no different from the other corpses Jami and the others had been sent to reclaim. Cold, wrinkled, and pale. But when Jami grabbed his ankles, the boy's eyes opened. He spat up the water in his lungs and sat straight up. They would come to find that the boy's memories were gone. He was not the witty child that Lord Stefan had spoke of in his letter to Cressen just a fortnight before. Only a boy, yet nimble as a monkey, and witty as a dozen courtiers. He is described by Stefan as nimble as a monkey and witty as a dozen courtiers, but after the shipwreck, both his mind and body have been broken. He was soft and obese, subject to twitches, trembles, incoherent often as not. At Dragonstone, where there is the Princess Shireen, there is Patchface. Never much attention is drawn to him, yet he stands out. There is something about him that is unnerving to the reader, more than his simple mind. Something that feels, dare I say, insidious. The prologue of A Clash of Kings is told from the point of view of Maester Cressen, a withering old man whose influence on Dragonstone is being threatened by the arrival of the Red Priestess Melisandre. Cressen desperately hopes to defeat Melisandre and her strange foreign god, and eventually resorts to poison. He fails. Melisandre stays with Stannis and remains an influence while Cressen's influence and life ends with the prologue. But we can't say he wasn't warned. The child's mouth gaped open. It talks! A few words, as I said. They are clever, these birds.
Clever bird, clever man, clever, clever fool, said Patchface, jangling. Oh, clever, clever, clever fool, he began to sing. The shadows come to dance, my lord, dance, my lord, dance, my lord, he sang, hopping from one foot to the other and back again. The shadows come to stay, my lord, stay, my lord, stay, my lord.
He jerked his head with each word, the bells in his antlers sending up a clangor. Patchface refers to Cressen as a clever man, but he refers to himself as a clever, clever fool, implying that he's more clever than Cressen. He then goes on to speak about dancing shadows coming to stay. This is not the first time that dancing shadows are mentioned in our story. During Mirri Maz Duur's spell, Daenerys witnesses dancing shadows in Drogo's tent. Mirri claims that she has learned these skills from Shadowbinders at Asshai. There are only 2 characters in our story that are referred to as Shadowbinders, Quaithe and Melisandre. We know from our story that Melisandre has the ability to manipulate shadows and light in ways that others cannot. She can birth creatures and send them out into the night to do her bidding. She can use shadows in ways which allow her to change her appearance and the appearance of others. So when Patchface mentions the shadows coming to dance and shadows coming to stay, is he referring to Melisandre? This seems more likely than not. We know from A Dance with Dragons that Melisandre fears Patchface and believes him to be ultimately destructive. That creature is dangerous. Many times I have glimpsed him in my flames. Sometimes there are skulls about him, and his lips are red with blood. What is it about Patchface that could be so dangerous? What could Melisandre's vision refer to? In A Song of Ice and Fire, the drowned god is worshipped on the Iron Islands. Drowning and resurrection are key parts of their religious rituals. To be drowned is to be given to the drowned god, and to be resurrected is to be born again from the sea. For what is dead may never die, but rises again harder and stronger. But the Ironborn do not truly die. They simply deprive themselves of oxygen for a brief moment, and are quote-unquote resurrected by a process we would in our world call cardiopulmonary resuscitation. But Patchface actually drowned. If Jami can be believed, he was dead. He was swallowed by the sea, given to the drowned god, and brought back. The storm that took Stefan Baratheon's ship was a sudden one. They were unprepared and it cost them dearly. But a sinking ship is no strange thing in Shipbreaker Bay. Its capricious weather and sharp jagged rocks are the stuff of legend. Patchface's survival itself has become the subject of much discussion amongst the fisherfolk of the Stormlands. According to their own urban legends, a Merling taught him to breathe underwater in return for his seed. Stories of Merlings are common amongst the Westerosi who live near the sea, especially in places like White Harbor and the Iron Islands. According to the Ironborn, there are mermaids who live in the drowned god's watery holes and attend to him. Legends of the Shivering Sea describe mermaids with pale skin and black scales, said to be far more devious and evil than their cousins to the south. Patchface often refers to merfolk and life under the sea in his songs and riddles. Are they the ramblings of a man whose wits have long been lost, or are they shrouded truths?
Under the sea, men marry fishes.
Patchface did a little dance step, jingling his bells.
They do, they do, they do.
If it's true that Patchface gave his seed to a Merling, then the song he sings here seems to fit. This would also parallel another legend in A Song of Ice and Fire. The legend of the Night's King, who gave his seed to a woman that was pale and cold as ice. And with his seed, he gave her his soul. He was bound to her for 13 years until Joramun and the King of Winter brought an end to it. Could Patchface have as well given his soul to the Merling? If Merlings exist, and Patchface is bound to them, then what could be his goal? Take a closer look at his riddles and songs, and you will find that it seems that he desires to return to the sea. Not only to return to the sea, but to bring the Princess Shireen with him.
I will lead it.
His bells rang merrily.
We will march into the sea and out again. Under the waves we will ride seahorses, and mermaids will blow seashells to announce our coming. Oh, oh, oh. Away, away, the fools sang. Come with me beneath the sea, away, away, away.
He took the little princess by one hand and drew her from the room, skipping. But what use could the Merlings have for Princess Shireen? Throughout Westeros there are legends of beings called Squishers. Squishers are scaled and fishy-smelling humanoids with webbed hands and feet and teeth as sharp as needles. They are said to come by night and steal children. The girls they keep to breed with, the boys they are said to eat. On Toad Isle of Essos, there are a race of people who claim to have been descended from some humanoid fish creature. The people have webbed hands and webbed feet, and disturbingly fish-like faces. They worship an idol made from black stone that's also said to have been built by the creatures long gone. The creatures that they describe as their ancestors seem very similar to some of the other descriptions of sea folk, so there is evidence that these so-called Squishers do and have bred with humans. That means that the idea that Patchface gave his seed to a Merling may not be as dubious as it sounds. It may also have other implications. Just about everything we know about the Merlings and the Squishers is based on hearsay and legend. We have two independent sources that tell us one thing, however. Merlings breed with humans, and so do the so-called Squishers. It seems likely to me that it is accurate to say that the legends of the Squishers and the Merlings refer to the same beings, the Deep Ones. This idea is backed up by the claims of Maester Theron of the Iron Islands. Theron argued that the legends of the Merlings are actually in reference to the Deep Ones. These sea-dwelling creatures are known even in Lovecraftian lore, from which Martin has borrowed them from, to breed with humans. This means that there is a rather glaring possibility that the purpose of Patchface is to claim Shireen for the sea. Stefan Baratheon had no daughters, only sons. 3 sons, Stannis, Renly, and Robert. If Stannis died, Shireen would be the rightful heir to the Seven Kingdoms. I have made several connections between multiple artifacts of black stone throughout the world and the Deep Ones. It seems that they inhabited the world long before men ever did. It is claimed by some that these creatures were destroyed by the first men. This seems unlikely to me. However, there is evidence of conflicts between mankind and these creatures. The maze makers of Lorath were said to have been destroyed by foes that came from the sea. The high tower of Old Town sits upon a black stone that's more ancient than the town itself. The isle it rests upon is named Battle Isle. The reason for the name is lost in time. Conflict between men and the Deep Ones fits into the themes of men versus nature that are constant in our story. While the artifacts of the Deep Ones remain, they have seemingly vanished. I do not believe it is likely that they are extinct, however. Much like the children of the forest, they simply have retreated into their natural habitat to flee humanity. Back into the sea they have gone. Shireen's purpose is to breed with them, to give them heirs with the blood of kings, so that they themselves could lay claim to Westeros. But this would all have to wait until Shireen was old enough, which has to be the reason that Patchface has not made his move yet. He must wait until she is a woman, and then and only then would he be free to take her with him back into the sea. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more ideas of Ice and Fire.